Mason Feole, one of my favorite people on this planet. First off, before we get started, though, I want to shout out your mom. I mean, what a wonderful, kind woman to make an absolute banger of a calzone. Maddie, can you please sample us? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. There we go, boys. Get you a little piece of that. Hey, so Mason, what's all in this again?
I think we got a prosciutto, some provolone cheese, some mozz, some salami, some pepperoni. Shout out Mitchell Stumpo.
It's hard to beat.
Go Italy.
Italians.
Team Italy, baby.
And now our producer wants some of the calzone. You're definitely more Italian than Mitchell Stumpo. There's no doubt in my mind.
I don't know, man. He's representing.
I mean, yeah, but
I don't think you can quantify how Italian someone is.
you got to be able to.
I feel like there's just different levels of it in like different places, especially Italian American.
Okay, like how did you and Stumpo talk about this or no?
No, we've never talked about it. Maybe briefly.
So do you know how much or how Italian he is?
I have no idea. Does he know how Italian I am?
I think he's like 1% actually.
His last name's Stumpo. It's pretty Italian.
I think his middle name's Anthony too, so that's something.
My middle name's Anthony as well.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
89%.
Two Tonys in here.
Gotta love it.
23andMe says 89% Campania. My family's from Roccamafino, a small like foothills village in Naples.
So you're definitely more Italian than Mitchell Stumpo. There's no question.
Calzone says it all.
Again, I don't think you
honestly.
can quantify how Italian.
When you were listing the ingredients, you said prosciutto. I knew right away. I knew right away.
Yeah, the dough is actually from a bakery next to our church, the original Italian bakery.
In Rhode Island.
Yeah, known for their pizza chips and doughboys.
Best pizza in Rhode Island you got?
Pizza Marvin.
Pizza Marvin?
Pizza Marvin, Providence.
Better than, shout out Davey Portnoy. Sally's? A pizza in Connecticut?
So, no.
It's different,
Sally's, I've had Sally's. I've had Pizza Marvin. Pizza Marvin's new. It's like 3 months old.
Okay.
Portnoy, I think, gave it an 8.2. So for an out of New Haven pizza to get an 8.2, it's
Pretty
impressive.
solid. That's
Yeah.
solid. Okay. I'll have to go try that. So you came down here to Raleigh, dude. How did you end up here? First off, what's the best Italian food? Does it compare here in Raleigh or no?
No chance.
No?
No chance.
Sorry,
In Rhode
Italian
Island, at
restaurants
least
in
you
Raleigh.
have-
I feel like Italian food is in the roots of wherever it's at.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like there
think
has to be some sort of like ingrained roots of family that has been there for generations upon generations for it to feel like true Italian food. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's more than just like a gourmet chef or someone that's a quality cook doing it. I think it's more so about, like you said, like the tradition of it and like the story behind where it's come from.
Yeah.
And knowing that a generation of people that have immigrated here from Italy kind of passed it along from generation to generation.
We should
I
have filmed
think-
this yesterday. It was Pie Day. It would be
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Talk about it.
I think it just makes it. I think it just makes it more impactful to. I know in any culture, just to eat food that has been passed down and has like a family-oriented meaning behind it, rather than just like any chef can prepare a really great Italian meal,
Sure.
but to have it passed down a recipe from not written down recipes, but my.
Yeah.
Nana's mother taught her, and then my Nana taught
You said Nana, so you're definitely Italian.
Oh, 100%.
my Nana taught her kids how to cook, and my uncles, and just the tradition, I think, makes it better than just going to a fancy restaurant and paying money
Like an
for
Olive
it.
Garden?
Definitely not an Olive Garden. Sorry, Olive Garden, but I think we all know you're not real.
Well, this is something I kind of wanted to shift from, and I think this is a perfect segue, talking about Italian food, to The Last of Us, just
Yeah.
based off of how it spread. Sorry, Chris, you haven't watched this show, but Mason and I talked about it for a while now. If you, like many, don't like spoilers, you can skip ahead to 5:45. Thanks. And sorry if we're giving away spoilers here. I don't know. Do we have to put spoiler-free, Joey?
Spoiler warning.
Or spoiler warnings?
You already did it.
Okay, well, spoiler warnings.
We have spoiler warning.
We're going to talk about The Last of Us here, folks.
Shout out all the gluten-free people out there.
Yeah, I mean,
You're safe.
I think if you did
safe.
keto, gluten, keto could work too, right? You're good.
As long as you're not eating bread, anything with flour.
Anything with flour. So maybe that's their way of putting in, like, plugging a little low-carb diet. I don't know. We got to look into the creators of the show.
Stay away from white flour.
Yeah,
Stay
so-
away from white flour.
So basically, like, this was a huge hit video game that I absolutely loved when I was playing it. Great zombie show here on HBO. But I just want to get your take. And I guess the one question I wanted to ask was, at the end, Joel was kind of faced with a decision, So I guess my question is, if you're faced with that decision, what are you doing? You can make it about yourself. Like, would you give yourself up for the vaccine or whatever? Or would you let a loved one give themselves up?
Yeah, it's tough because especially in the theme of the show, I think Joel understands that they're, especially after 23, 24 years of however long he'd survived, I think he understands that there really isn't going to be a cure. Like, this doctor may think that he can solve something, but I don't think there's definitely a concrete.
Yeah.
I don't think his decision is neither bad or good. I think it's really up to the situation, and the situation kind of dictated for Joel to...
Okay, so back to the question. What are you doing, Mason?
I feel like I'm a bit of a protector. I feel like if I had been through what Joel had been through, and, with his daughter and with himself, and protecting Ellie for the longest time, developing this relationship, and how having a reason after 20 years to keep going.
I feel like that should be a question on the Myers-Briggs personality test. What would you do if you were Joel?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
All right, cool. So, okay, then we talked about that. That's good. Let's transition now into more of what we did this off season. Now that we got that out of the way. So obviously, kind of hit on it. You're from Rhode Island. You went to UConn.
I did.
Kind of, and I don't want it to be this generic question, but like, what was it like playing up north in a cold weather state? What did you learn about yourself? Do you think it shaped you as a competitor more? Because you talk to a lot of cold weather guys. They seem to have a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder, at least in my experience. I don't know about you, Chris, but like a lot of the cold weather guys I've kind of been around. I don't know if that's an environmental thing or if that's how they were shaped or parenting or what. But like, what do you got on that? Speak to that for me, please.
You were coached hard at UConn. You were definitely coached hard and coached the right way. I credit Coach Benders, Coach McDonald, Coach Hurrigan, Coach Bedeswa in not just my baseball career, but my life after school. Just incredible motivators, incredible teammates there that kind of pushed you to get out of your comfort zone. It takes a lot of fortitude and focus and courage and mental toughness to like make it through a school like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows by the fact that a lot of the guys that end up getting there don't make it to their senior year, and one that's probably because they get drafted because UConn balls out every year. But there's also, there's that competitive aspect where it's like you are part of this team and you're going to grind, and you're going to grind for the purpose of the program winning, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts around it.
Yeah.
And if you're not bought into that, there's other places for you. But I couldn't have picked a better school. I think it fit my personality very well. I think I met some of the most incredible people up there that I still have relationships with today. I was fortunate enough to play in 2 regionals. We missed the one my freshman year. We were the 65th team out, so we were knocking on the door of that one.
Guess who else was this past year?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss was, sorry.
So I think the opportunities and the doors that going to UConn opened up where I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah. There's a lot of big league talent. Who all was on that team? It wasn't George Springer. Who else?
Yeah, so I think it was Springer, Olt, Ahmed,
That's right.
Barnes
That's
on
crazy.
the 2011 to 2012 team. I think
Stacked.
Springer and Barnes are first rounders in 11. But, man, we've had Anthony Kay, Tim Cate, Jake Wallace. Kyler Fedko had his first major league hit in the spring training game yesterday against Ben Heller. Hustle double to second base. And, like, things like that you see on Twitter of your old teammates and stuff that do stuff like that, hustle double, like that is UConn baseball to a T. And it's like that extra step that we were always told to take. My sophomore year, we had a saying after we'd missed the regional my freshman year, we had saying one more thing, one more time. It was essentially like with anything you did, add the extra rep, add the extra focus level, add the extra concentration, add the extra attitude.
That's the epitome of you. I mean, you do everything it takes.
Yeah, I appreciate
Sometimes
that.
you get caught up in the weeds doing it, but
sure.
at the same time, I mean, you're
but yeah,
always doing that.
It kind of shows, Scott Oberg, another guy who's pitched in the bigs.
Rockies, maybe?
Yeah, with the Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
So there's guys that have gone through UConn baseball that have made it there. And
Does that motivate you?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you see your teammates or past players and alumni do so much in this game, and it doesn't even have to be, making it to the major leagues, but just as people.
Mm-hmm.
What Nick Ahmed's been able to do with his faith, and what Scott Oberg's been able to do with inspiring people to keep going and just keep continuing to work hard. And George Springer on an incredible level. Friend Anthony Kay was battling some shoulder stuff. Now he's back, hopefully going to fight for a spot with the Cubs in their major league roster. There's so many guys that have played with or known that are just incredibly inspiring people. And I think what UConn does the best is that alumni group is such a tight-knit. We have our every program has your alumni game and your alumni day where you get together and you see the guys that you might have known or didn't know. And it is, from the second you get there, alumni know who you are, alumni want to talk to you, you're put in a group chat, you're communicating with these people, you're building relationships outside of your 27 to 35 guys that are on your roster. And I think that's something that a lot of schools should definitely look to do, because UConn does it so well.
I think what's cool about that too, just kind of going back to the whole cold weather thing, like it doesn't matter where you play, you know, and I mean that in the sense of like you can play anywhere, whether it's D3, JUCO, UConn, Arkansas, wherever. And if you're good enough, they're going to find you, you know? And you look at, I feel like a lot of Vandy's roster is New England guys. You don't have to be from California or Georgia or Texas. Like, you can play in the big leagues no matter where you're from. And like you just listed off, I don't know how many big leaguers right there from UConn. And a lot of people don't think of UConn as like a powerhouse of, oh, we're putting guys in the show, basically. You know what I mean? But not yet, exactly. But I think that's so cool because it does not matter where you come from at all. Warm weather, cold weather, shoot. I mean, it doesn't even have to be in the United States. There's guys from Canada drafted every year.
Absolutely. I completely agree. That's something my dad always instilled in me when I was younger. It doesn't matter where you're playing. It just matters how you're playing. And if you're good, they'll find you one way or another. And it's that mentality of no matter what position you're in or where you're playing or what team you're on or what state you live in, like you said, or what country you're from. Now with the WBC, that's ever more clear and evident. So cool. As long as you ball out and you are a competitor and you work harder than the two guys to your left and right, it doesn't guarantee the success, but it's good enough to make you believe that you deserve it.
Dude, the guy from, is it Honduras?
Yeah.
Literally one inning, punched out.
Nicaragua? Right?
Or Nicaragua. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Punched out Soto, Julio Rodriguez, and who was the last one?
Devers.
Rafael Devers. And then murder's row.
You could honestly make a case that like they're the three best hitters in baseball. And in that same inning, he faced Machado, who is arguably the best third baseman in baseball.
He's hot as all get out right now.
Yeah, he's on fire.
Literally, those are the three best young players, I think, in baseball.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Absolutely. And
he punched them all out in one inning. Oh, I'm going to go sign with the Tigers now. You know? I think that's so sick. And, like, again, it just goes to show, doesn't matter where you're at, people will find you. Yeah. And his just happened to be on a really, really large stage. You know?
It definitely helps. The bigger the stage, the more eyes.
Yeah. So I kind of want to shift to, what is the big difference in being from Rhode Island, playing at UConn, and then moving here to North Carolina? You know, it could be baseball related, it could be cultural related, it could be whatever, you know, it doesn't have to be baseball. What is the biggest difference or thing that you found that you like or you hate? You know, what is it for you?
Yeah, well, first off, I love it down here. Yeah. I was lucky enough to come down here and be in Cary for a little bit and earlier in college. But being here, being in a place where it's warm for the most part, you know, comparatively, being able to get outside year long has been a huge advantage for me personally. I enjoy it. It's different being away from family, being away from friends.
First time being away from your family, like in off season? No?
No. For the full off season, yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely different, but it's nice to, you know, be with the fiance every day and have a little bit of a normal life rather than doing the same things that I was doing from high school to college to the first parts of my pro career. So it's good to have a change of scenery. I think environment can change a lot of things.
How so?
You know, I just think sometimes you can get stuck in certain ways, and I think changes of scenery, changes of environment can really spark a stimulus change. I think I love to meet new people. I love to build connections. I love to travel and see the country. Coming down here not knowing either of you guys or Joey or Matt or anyone in here, Brandon, not really knowing them, that was a challenge for me to meet you guys and form that relationship and make friends.
Well, from the beginning,
it's hard to make friends anywhere you are, but
you know, from the beginning, like, you fit in perfect. Like, I don't think there was, like, everybody responded to you well. I think everybody, like, you became everybody's friend within a matter of days. So, I mean, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, you're an easy guy to get along with, and I think what's great about you is that it's a never-ending strive for your own development. You know, we've talked about it. I think obviously there is some things that we need to sometimes tone down a little bit, but I, as a coach and a guy that wants to get the best out of my players, I'd rather it be on the far end of the spectrum of doing way too much than somebody that doesn't want to do a damn thing. Yeah. Because we can tone down, and I know that drive is within you. So to me, it doesn't make my job easy, but it makes it fun because I know how good you want to be. You know, I know you want to get to the top. I know you want to stay there, and I know you want to be great. I think coming to work every day knowing that that makes it fun for me. It brings the best out of me to be competitive, or how can I get Mason better? How can I get him to respond to this? And I think, Chris, you can speak to the same thing, where it's a never-ending strive for greatness, really. I think that's the only way to describe it.
Well, we've had this discussion together, like you coach and you train these guys virtually, and then you say it's just hard for you to train yourself. So, like, speak on that, and why is that so much more difficult?
Yeah, I mean, that's a philosophy that I feel like I've always held. It's hard to look – everyone's favorite person is themselves.
Do you feel like you're also your biggest critic, and that makes it harder because you just see every minor detail?
It's kind of both large ends of that spectrum. Like I said, like everyone's favorite person to some extent is themselves. I think people innately like watching themselves. We like looking in the mirror. We love our first name. Shout out Coach Benders, who's one of his favorite plugs. Your first name is your favorite word, and I think it's the two ends of the spectrum, right? When you're coaching yourself or you're trying to train yourself, or in an environment where it's one-on-one, like man in the mirror, you're focused on you. Nothing you can do is wrong,
right?
Because it's you.
So when you look at a video, you're seeing
you see the great
all
things,
the good things, and it's hard to see the flaws from it.
But on the other end of that, it's also you.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be satisfied. At least for me, it's hard to be satisfied with what's going on. You can kind of go down a rabbit hole of chasing those ghosts.
Well, and with training guys, like you obviously analyze a lot of guys daily, so you see what they do well, and you're like, all right, let me try to do that just as well. I mean, and everybody's different in that perspective, so it's also
absolutely when you're helping other guys, it's tough because you might be telling them the things that you need to hear.
Right.
But it's hard to tell yourself those things. It really is. So I think it's important for any player to have that support group, whether it's here, whether it's with us, wherever it may be. Like, find that support group. If that's a physical thing, if that's a mental thing, if that's in the weight room, to have another person invested in you keeps you accountable. Yeah. And I think that's a really important thing. And not saying that if I didn't have a support group of, those guys, these guys back home, parents, family, friends, fiance, that I would just crumble and fall and I wouldn't work hard. But it helps to have, that sort of accountability when you're, around people that are rooting for mutual success. You're talking to people that want mutual success for you, and you're able to build that personal relationship, I think, is important. But yeah, like you said, it's hard to just, train yourself and watch a video and no one's
see all the good and all the bad.
No one's there to challenge you with anything. Yeah. You need people in your corner that are going to challenge you and also tell you when things are good when you think they're bad.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that is so important within this realm. It's like finding somebody that's just not going to blow smoke. Like somebody that's going to be real with you, have your best interest in mind, have a good relationship with, and not just tell you, oh, dude, you're so great, you throw 95. But, it's a never-ending goal here, right?
But also having the ability to listen when somebody says something is good and actually trust that. You know what I mean? Because a lot of that is there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah.
We kind of joked earlier when we were running the hill and we were talking about like mental toughness. I can't remember who exactly said it, but they said I have mental toughness not to do this. Or, no, seriously, like I think it was Maddie, but it was a super intelligent thing to say, because like if you are not primed for something, or you
peer pressure, even in something ready, like running a hill,
if you are not ready, or if there's something that doesn't seem like it's going to help you, and you full-heartedly believe that, or you think it's going to help
self-awareness.
Yeah, self-awareness. Yeah, I think that's
when you say primed, though, do you mean like mentally primed or physically primed, or both?
Well, maybe in Maddie's case. I'm more so thinking of like, if there's a certain detail in the throw or pitch design or whatever it may be, and you think it's absolute crap. Person that's helping you, whether it be me or Chris, Bobby, or whoever, is saying it's actually pretty good, and here's why, X, Y, and Z, and this is how do we utilize that. It's important to trust that.
The why is so important. At least so many people say so many things and never give you a reason why, and that's
and the constant search for more, I think, can be a negative thing in that.
It definitely can. It definitely can. But like I said, I think I'd rather that than the guy that doesn't want to do anything.
I got another one for you. We were always told Coach Bender's shout out again.
Hey,
He's got,
let's go.
He's got some crazy. He's got some great old sayings.
Okay.
I can always tune you down. I don't want to ever have to tune you up. If you're ready to go, you're ready to go. You might be too ready to go. I'd rather have to bring you down to 72 degrees than try to
Bring you
heat you
back
up,
up,
try to
yeah.
get you going.
A wise man once said,
Yes.
shout out to Coach Bender, you said?
Coach Bender's
Yeah, shout out. What a legend.
smart guy.
All right. When you first got down here, I want to know your first impressions of Brandon Young. Obviously, this place is empty young, but I want to know what you thought about the myth, the legend, Brandon Young. What was your first takeaway, your first meeting with him, and was it the 3D? Was it 3D the first time you met him?
So
or?
Well, you came last year,
So
yeah.
I came last off season for a bullpen.
Okay.
And my first recollection of him was I walked in. He was playing catcher Ryan Weiss.
Brandon was.
Yeah, and they were working on fastball spin efficiency.
Okay.
And then I threw a pen. It was good. We had some fun. We chatted. I think I met Tanuta that day. It was great. It was good. Super nice. And then the 3D, I think it was the first time we really sat down and got to talk. And
Was it this past offseason, the first
this
one?
past offseason
Okay,
was my
yeah.
first. I mean, he's just highly intelligent. But I think the thing that separates Brandon at this facility is his emphasis on guys staying healthy.
Yeah.
And the access to the PTs and the way he's kind of set it up. That's been such an advantage for me this offseason. Being a guy that's dealt with a bunch of injuries.
Which injuries did you have, just so everyone knows kind of when you...
So TJ in 19, oblique tear or strain, whatever you want to call it, in 21 to start the year. Then re-injured that again in a game, came out, trickled down to my right hip, and then it turned into a lat tear 2/3 off the bone. And then rehab back home, got healthy, came into camp in 22. First full outing, yes. First outing in affiliate, re-strained the lat. Ended up missing most of the 2022 season. Obviously, when you come back from an injury, things might not be 100% yet. It takes time, especially with something like a lat.
Yeah.
But like I said, having the access to the PTs from the fall on has been a game changer for me.
I don't think I've ever asked you this. Is there something you can point your finger on that's okay, this is why I was hurt? And I know, look, baseball, you can do everything perfectly and still get hurt. And that's what sucks about this game is people that do all the right things, from the prep work to the proper plyo technique to your proper recovery. You can be in the training room all day long, but you can still get hurt. Was there one thing that's I wish I would have done more of this, or I wish I would have done less of that? Is there something that you can, I guess, look back on and say that could have been a contributor?
Yeah, I think for me, like we've talked about already in this interview, it was wanting to be on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I think going through Tommy John 19 after basically pitching with a fully torn UCL my junior year, I wanted to be healthy and I wanted to compete. And you're on the prospects list and people are excited for you and you want to play.
Yeah.
You miss 2 years, almost 3 years without pitching in a game, and then you have a minor injury in camp and you go to affiliate, and I just wanted to play. So I kind of rushed back from the oblique, and oblique probably led to a more significant injury. And then, I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, starting my rehab throwing program, on my knees, somehow convinced our trainers to start throwing on my knees so I could get back faster. And, then the lat goes after a good stretch of games. And, didn't need surgery for the lat or anything, recovered, came back to camp. And I don't know why it happened again. I don't know if we can pinpoint a certain thing. I've increased mobility. I've increased my hanging. I've increased certain things that I think now that have strengthened the lat. The PT work, and I'm fully healthy now. Maybe I could have added those things in last offseason, had a bit more chaos and volatility, I'd like to say, and just be okay with different variations of preparation and not
How so?
having more so just not feeling like I had to do XYZ every day to be ready.
Yeah.
Especially as a reliever for me, learning that position also coming off of TJ was a lot different. So I don't think there's any one thing I could pinpoint, but the main thing would probably be just allowing my body to heal after
Listening to it a little bit more, being able to slow things down.
Yeah. And not also feeling like I have to bite off more than I can chew every day, workload management. And understanding where the
But it's still like, even after, like, you tell yourself that, you still we have to preach to you daily too. Still, I mean, it's that just shows like how much you still want it. But again, like, you got to have those people in your corner that are able to tone you down. You know what I mean? It's tune you down. That's right, Coach Benders.
Rather tune you down and tune you up. No, and that's been an evident thing with me, and I think understood now that you don't necessarily, the reps doesn't quantify the quality of the work. I think more so what you're doing, how you're doing it, and the focus of what you're doing is far more important than the amount that you're doing. Throw all day long, but with what purpose or what goal in mind? Because I think what matters more.
Do you think having the 3D system here, like, did that give you peace of mind?
Yeah, I know. We talked about that. I think seeing the metrics in the 3D initially.
In the force plate, sorry.
Yeah, in the force plate, and being like, okay, I never realized how good of a mover I actually was.
Mm-hmm.
And it quantified a lot of the work that I had done post TJ.
Sure.
The super highly detailed work I did with my guys back home, and gave me peace of mind then that, like, okay, yeah, I'm a pretty freaking good mover.
Yeah. And we talked about this in the last podcast.
I'm actually kind of athletic. I didn't know
that. Well, it just gives you that confidence. It gives you that confidence, especially with somebody like you that is always striving for something new and, like, what's next? What can I do? Like, it gives you that confidence that, all right, this is already good. Let's focus on the real task at hand.
And that's what I see with a lot of, like, the high level guys that come in here. And it's kind of what I alluded to earlier. It's a blessing and a curse. Like, you want to have that never ending strive for greatness, but you know, you also have to realize, hey, look, I'm pretty damn good at this, and I, like Mason just said, I move pretty well, and I think with a 3D, it allows people to give them that confidence, like, hey, dude, I'm kind of sick. Like, I'm pretty good at this, and I'm a pro for a reason.
Let's become a pitcher again.
And then when you see those improvements, when you've been a guy that's been injured, it kind of gives you peace of mind that you're recovered.
You're not holding back. The governor's gone. Yeah,
like, especially when your acceleration goes up. Yeah. Like, your range of motion goes up, and et cetera. Like, okay, like, I'm healed. I'm healthy. I'm ready to go. Yeah. There's no mental block anymore behind that. Yeah. And I didn't think there ever was after TJ, but definitely after the shoulder stuff, it was definitely like, oh boy, it's time to play catch. And who knows what today's going to be like? Is today going to be the day that it pops again? Or
well, you've talked about your recovery too. Like, if you have the data, then you know exactly what you need to come back with. And you're not striving to chase a different arm action or different type of plane of rotation and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it gives you the feedback that you need to recover the right way and get back to where you were when you had all the success in college and whatnot.
Absolutely. Kind of, touching sort of on that, like, from my perspective, I guess my favorite thing, and we literally learned it within the first 10 minutes of you being here, basically, was, okay, let's throw my curveball again, please, please, because I know you came in and you got to speak to it because I don't know the whole story like verbatim, but I remember you were like, oh, well, I used to throw a really good curveball, and you threw it, and it was bang, -20 at 80. I'm like, well,
2022 was the year of the sweeper, so everybody has to throw the sweepers.
But I feel like the trends are crazy because when I first got drafted, it was very north-south.
Very
north-south. And like, probably you were a guy that did it at the highest level. And
it's COVID's fault. It changed everything.
It really was. Yeah, right?
The
If you get one of the symptoms, sinker slider outlier splitters. It was definitely north-south because at the time I feel like people were like really into like understanding like launch angle and bat path through the zone. And, you know, how do you beat a guy that's, like, essentially changing their path?
Yeah.
They're in the zone for longer, but they're not. It was at that time, it was hard to get to the four-seam.
Yeah, like a lot of those guys basically lose the barrel very early within the swing. So when the barrel kind of drops through the zone, you have that little bit of a window to beat somebody up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But then everything changed within, I feel like, a year.
So who changes first? Is it the hitters or is it the pitchers? Like, what is it? The pitchers trying to get ahead of the game, or is it the pitchers? Is it the hitters trying to recreate their swings? Like, because I can't figure it out.
Yeah,
I think it's
baseball as a whole. Baseball has evolved constantly.
I think it's cycles. I think it's really in cycles, and there's constantly going to be new data and new analytics to prove one way or the other. Like, now we have sinkers at the top of the zone. For a while, it was a trend to throw curveballs at the top of the zone. And then it was, forcing fastballs away to right-handed hitters from lefties and vice versa.
Yeah.
Worked in your blue zone. And now it's sliders and sinkers.
Seam shifted wake is the big buzzword now, I feel.
Yeah, seam shifted wake. If a guy has low spin efficiency, he's biasing, and now we can get him to throw a sinker rather than a four seam. And there's a lot that goes into it. And I think that's what kind of makes the game a lot of fun now, though, too.
It is. Because that's, I think, like when you look at the organizations within professional baseball that develop the best, I mean, the Dodgers, I think the Brewers are really good. The Orioles are getting that way. They're always looking for that next, I don't want to say buzzword, but that next thing. How can we beat them? And it was VAA for a little bit. And I'm just curious, like, what do you think the next wave's going to be? Do you have any insight on that? Or
I don't know. I think VAA is kind of here to stay.
Yeah, it has to be. Because that explains why, like, some guys with good vert still get hit.
Absolutely.
I think. But, yeah, I want to know, like, what's your take on that?
I truly do think, like, the trends are great and the trends are important, but it's always going to be how far away we can stay from the average.
Yeah, the uniqueness.
How unaverage.
You have to have it.
Yeah, how unaverage can you be?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
No, it's a great way
a good way to put it, but
it's a great way to put it.
Whether that be high vert, hard curveballs are coming back. If you can throw that curveball in the low to mid 80s, it's going to be a lethal pitch. Not many guys do it.
I think I don't know the guy's Twitter handle. I literally I follow him. I think he does like a lot of the Stuff Plus stuff for Driveline maybe and for college baseball. And he was talking about I think a guy from Iowa something. Yeah. And he was showing me, or the tweet was, the best pitcher in college baseball has the best pitch. And it was a power curveball. Like I think he said it was 87 to 91.
Yeah, I saw
and it was just swing and miss montage. And I think I quoted it and said breaking ball velo matters a lot because it does. I mean, I think it already is kind of here to stay, and it's been here. But like you look at DeGrom, he's throwing his slider. It doesn't look like it's moving a ton, but it's 95. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think like Sandy Alcantara, he's throwing his changeup at 92 at times.
Yeah, velo plays, especially in good pitch profiles. If you can get a pitch to move at a high velocity, it's going to be a lot harder to hit than bigger break or stuff that isn't thrown as hard. I mean,
it's like when we play blitzball in here.
Yes.
The harder it is, it's harder to hit.
If it's harder to hit.
Anything above 70, can't touch it.
No, we're not.
It's harder to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball than it is a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. It would make sense that it'd be harder to hit a 95-mile-an-hour slider as opposed to a.
I have seen guys throw 100 get barreled, and then guys that throw 92 throw invisible. So who knows? I don't think anybody will ever know. But in a vacuum, I think that's 100% true. Before we get out of here, the WBC's going on. You were a collegiate national team representative. 2018. I just want you to talk about the experience you had playing for your country, because I know it's a very generic question, but I'd be remiss to not ask with everything that's going on. Like, how big of an honor was that for you? What was your favorite memory from that? Teammates that are now in the big leagues, right? It's crazy.
Everyone. No, it was awesome. Obviously, you did it too, so you understand like what that means and what it's like. Wear USA across your chest. What it's like to represent any nation. It's a lot of fun. You meet guys from all over the country that at the time are high-level college players, all end up getting drafted in the top rounds and go on to be big leaguers. Had great catchers, Adley Rushman, Shea Langoliers, roommate with Spencer Torkelson.
Good player.
Great player. Max Meyer was another arm for us. Zach Thompson, Andre Palante, he's pitching for Team Italy now. We were loaded, and it was a lot of fun.
Italy's sneaky good, dude.
Yes, Italy's good right now. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. And getting out of the country and playing in Cuba was awesome. And, we played Japan here. We played Japan in Cary, which is pretty cool.
Did that have any influence in you, like, coming here at all? Like,
it's just weird how life works sometimes. So I'd met my fiance in college, and she went to law school at UNC. And so when we felt like we were ready to move down here together, I had visited a bunch, and she knew that I had been in North Carolina quite a bit because she had interned during college. So it was just weird how that lined up. I ended up meeting a girl, I fell in love with her, asked her to marry me, and now we're living, where I enjoyed playing baseball for a summer. So it was pretty interesting. It's funny to I don't go back to USA Complex at all, or like I'm not in Cary that much. Like we're kind of near it a little bit,
Right.
but like it's funny to like drive by the highway sometimes, and then those memories come back of like, oh, like that's the Embassy Seats where I remember that movie theater, or it's weird because we're in Raleigh, but
Place
it
you
feels
probably
like it's a
felt
different
like you
state.
probably would never come back, or especially live
Didn't
in.
ever
You know
think
what I mean?
I'd be flying in and out of. I've probably flown out of RDU now like 40 times in the past 5 years. So like, it's weird.
I can kind of speak to that. I mean, like when I moved down here, you know, I did like you said, did the USA thing. I've played tournaments down here. Like I knew the area, but like this place is booming, dude. Like sneaky, one of the coolest cities I've been to. They're adding so much, and it's everywhere you go. There's construction, or they're putting a new highway in right here. It's never ending, and I'm excited for the future of this place. Before we get out of here, Matt, can you come here really quick? You mind, Matt? Matt, I want you to have the last little bite, and I want you to give me a rating, out of 10, but it can't be a rookie score. It has to be decent.
Right, whatever.
I want you to give me out of 10.
One bite. Everyone knows the rules.
That's
The
trademarked, I
only
think.
thing that's
I don't know.
I'm gonna go 9.2 out of 10.
Whoa,
Wow.
9.2. And
It's a
That's
big
up there.
score.
ladies and gentlemen, we're out. Mason, thank you so much, man. It was a blast to work with you, and obviously our relationship will continue. You know, this was a lot of fun for me. Thank you for letting us, work with you, and hope you enjoyed your experience, man. Appreciate it.